everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of What's Cooking. My name is Mona Ahmed. I'm the founder, owner, and chief everything officer of Mona's Creations, where we make restaurant-inspired frozen skillet meals that represent Pakistani Indian cuisine. You can learn more from our website, and it's really our way of trying to help bring our culture into your kitchen. So, hello and assalamu alaikum. May peace and blessings be upon you. I'm so excited to be back again today. And I thought what would be nice is that we make a vegetarian dish. So yes, we call it Bhindi in our language, but you may know it more as okra and also ladyfingers. And there's so many different varieties actually. You can find it frozen, you can find it cut, you can find it fresh. I'll be using fresh today. We'll actually be using 7 ingredients today, so not too many ingredients because I do actually like the taste of okra, Bhindi. And so for that reason, I don't really put too many other spices and stuff in it because I'd like to taste the taste of the okra. And it's actually one of my dad's favorite dishes, and even my husband enjoys it. My kids not so much, just because it is a little slimy, but I find that just like myself, as I got a little older, I appreciated it more. So here's our star of the show. We are going to use about a half a pound of bhindi, and this is fresh bhindi. And really, it's actually a very light vegetable, so you'll actually get quite a bit in even a half a pound. So you could say it's about 8 ounces, 8 to 9 ounces. We'll also be using about 1 medium and a half onion. So, and I'll show you how. I've already peeled and sliced most of it, but I'll show you how I usually like the onions to look in the dish. And again, it's a personal preference. I'm going to be using about 3 ounces of tomato puree. You can definitely use fresh tomatoes in this dish as well. But again, I personally like them when they're ripe. I know they're going to have a nice flavor. And so if I was going to use a fresh tomato, I would probably use about 1 medium size red ripened tomato. I'm going to use 2 ounces of oil. In this case, it's canola oil, but again, you may use any oil that you have on hand. And we'll be using about a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of chili powder, and 1 teaspoon of turmeric. So with that, let's get cooking. What I like about this dish is that I treat it as a one-pot dish. I put everything at one time, and then it all just cooks together. It simmers together, and it's about 15-20 minutes. Vegetables, they do cook faster, so that's nice. All right, I won't put the stove on yet. Let's first assemble all the ingredients. So we can I will start with the onion, just because the okra does get a little slimy. And so I want to keep my cutting board just a little cleaner right now. So the onions I ended up getting were very strong, so that's good. But I'll put them in here. And the way I chopped them was really just I peeled it and I sliced it. And you can make it smaller too, but I basically just took the sides and I went like this. So they're not very thick, but you can see all the layers of the onion. And I just think it looks kind of pretty the way it's sliced this way. But again, all this will cook. It'll cook down. And so then if you don't have too much time to get fancy with the slicing, you can always just do it this way. I'm going to put this in the pot. Then we can use our okra. Now, a couple of things about fresh okra. Now, I find that when you buy fresh okra, you do kind of want to pinch it a little bit because you want it to be softer. Because if you find that it's a little hard to the touch, then what's going to happen is that it's not really going to soften in the dish. And so you do kind of want to just give it a little bit of a push to see, oh, okay, that feels a little soft. And so I've already cut this okra, most of it, but this is how I typically cut it. I don't get too fancy. I'll take a few at a time. But I really cut off the ends. I snip off the ends. And then I'll cut into smaller pieces. You can even leave it longer if you'd like. but I tend to cut off the ends. Now, if you find frozen okra, many times they'll actually have the ends as well, the top and the bottom. But so it's your preference because it does all cook down. You cannot eat it all. So here, I'm just chopping it. They can be big pieces, they can be smaller pieces, it's okay. But one thing you'll notice is that whenever you buy fresh okra, you should wash it first and then cut it. Because if you cut it and then wash it, a lot of the slime comes out, and that makes it very difficult to actually wash properly. So it's always best to wash it first and then cut it. So again, I'm just taking care of just my garbages here. And I'm just going to cut it. So, I mean, you could see, this is like, it's amazing what this little vegetable does. It has so many inherent health benefits. I was actually just trying to, I stumbled upon some more information about okra. And they were talking about, I'm going to just put it in my pan. We'll put all the okra in. Let me take the spoon. So some of the benefits they were saying, if I can share with you, it's not very clear copy, but they're saying it improves eyesight. It helps with your blood sugar. It helps with digestion. It helps lower cholesterol. It is very good for intestinal movements and digestion as well, just because it's very fibrous. It's good for osteoporosis. It relieves fatigue and stress. It helps with potassium levels. I remember even when I was pregnant with my children, when my colleagues were saying that eat okra, and it was good, you know. So I'm just saying that really it's amazing what this one vegetable has so many inherent health benefits that really I do try to eat more of it and serve it more to my family because of all the health benefits that it offers. So as you can see, we just cut the okra in here. Let's put our oil. I'm using again 2 ounces. This is something, again, if you'd like, you can use more of, you can use less of, but we feel that it does need some oil. And this is canola that I'm using. And I'm going to use tomato puree. Otherwise, if we were going to use fresh tomatoes, then I would just take that like medium-sized ripened red tomato and I would just slice it similar to how my onions are, and I would just put it in here. And right now we'll put this. We'll mix it a little bit. And then we're going to use, I'm going to use about 1/2 teaspoon of red chili powder, just to give it a little bit of a kick. You can use more or less. I don't necessarily put fresh green chilies in here. I tend to just use the powder. I'm going to put a teaspoon of salt. Again, this is to your preference. If you are trying to watch your salt, you don't need to put any salt. And then we'll use a teaspoon of turmeric, our golden spice. And that's it. I just mix it. I'm going to put the stove on. And we're going to let it all soften and cook down. So I'm going to actually put it on a little bit of medium to high. And we will check on it, sorry. And I think it'll take about 15-20 minutes. I'm not going to put any water. Just because the onions will release some water, and especially if you also have the tomatoes, that releases some water. And so, but I'll keep an eye on it. If I find midway that it seems like that it's browning very quickly and it's sizzling too much, but yet the okra is not very soft to the touch, then I can always just put it in later. Put a little bit of water, maybe like 2 ounces. So I'm going to cover it. And we're going to let this cook for a few minutes. In the meantime, I wanted to show you that the okra that I had, that was the long okra. That's typically your okra. You also have other types of okra. Other okras are similar. You'll see the same long shape, but they're a little wider. But again, okra is okra. It tastes the same. It's you will enjoy using it, and you'll taste the sliminess, and you'll see how it is. This is just baby okra. It's actually frozen baby okra, so you can see how tiny it can get. It is actually when it starts, and this is also very nice because it's very like soft okra. And this one, I don't even cut the edges because it's so soft and tiny, and it's frozen. So I really just put it right straight into the pot. And so it's nice to have different varieties of okra. We use it a lot in our region. The South uses it also. There's so many, I think now more and more people are really discovering the benefits of okra and the taste of okra. It's nice. So yeah, let's see. Let's wait to see. It'll be a few minutes, and we'll keep an eye on it. All right, guys, the kitchen smells so good, and you can see all the steam that's coming, that's in the pot. And so I did not end up adding any extra water, and instead I reduced my fire now to a little more between low and medium. And again, during this process, the onions are softening, and everything is just kind of cooking nicely together. And I basically took my spoon, and I kind of just trying to break the bhindi to see if it's softer. So I think it just needs a few more minutes. But in that time, I will continue to cover it. And I thought what would be nice is we can pair the bhindi today with some paratha. And so paratha is another kind of flatbread that we use. This is actually a ready-made one that I got from an ethnic store from the freezer aisle. But we can also make this at home. It's really just flour, usually wheat flour, and some water, some oil, and you keep just rolling it. And when you cook it, you'll actually cook it in some oil a little bit. So you could say it's a little bit of a crispy, a little bit of a decadent flatbread. And parathas are really nice. I mean, we can have them with an omelet. We can have them with the bhindi. You can have them with if you want, you can even put like a kebab in it and turn it into a kebab roll. And so what I'm going to do right now is I took my skillet, I turned the heat on about medium to high. Medium actually is better. And we can put paratha, and we can start warming them up. I'm not going to add anything else to it, but you can also put a little bit of ghee. Remember the clarified butter that we had used at the time? But I'm just going to leave it as is because it's already, if you can kind of see my fingers, they're already a little greasy. And so I think there's enough oil on it. I'm just going to use a towel. But what's nice about parathas this is actually a plain paratha. You can have you can have sweet parathas. You can have stuffed parathas. Like you can have a keema paratha where we put like a ground beef or a ground chicken. You can have aloo paratha, which is a potato thing, which is stuffed. A mixed vegetable one, a fenugreek one, a cauliflower one. So you can really, it's a full meal. You can make it into a full meal. And if you don't have much on hand, you can also just have this, warm it up, and have it with some plain yogurt. It tastes really nice. Our bhindi is looking good, and I wanted to also mention that at this stage, while it's cooking, if you want, you can also turn this into a dish that has meat in it. And what I mean by that is like you can separately cook lamb, goat, or beef. And those are typically the ones that you make it with, or ground beef. And cook that separately. And then around this stage, when there's still about maybe 10 minutes or so for the bhindi to be complete, you mix it all together, and then it all just cooks finely together. And so, again, you can have it as a vegetarian dish. In this case, this is plant-based. We didn't add any dairy to it. And but if you also like to have it with some meat, you can add the meat in it. But the meat should already be cooked when you do that. And so with this paratha also, We're just going to heat it up. That's all. It's very simply, it's nicely done. This is the shape of a triangle, but really you could have any shape. Usually they're round if you think about it when you're doing the rolling pin. But it's a nice, it is a heavier bread, right? You can also have this bhindi with rice. You can have it with even a simple pita if you'd like. It's really can be complemented and paired with so many different options. But I thought let's make it a little decadent and have some paratha today. And so we're really just warming it up. You can make it a little crispy if you want. You can even add a little bit of oil if you want to it, or ghee at the bottom, but I'm going to leave it. And meanwhile, you can just see, I didn't add the water to the bhindi. But you can see it's nicely mixing. And I just want to make sure this is soft, so that when we eat it, it's soft. And it's getting there. Typically, you can find okra all year round, because I believe, like, it's grown in a lot. It has to be grown in warmer climates. And so you typically can find it all year round. And of course, when it's harvested the most and it's the best in its peak, that's when a lot of the manufacturers, they actually then, they wash it and they process it in the sense that they cut it up, and then you find it in the freezer aisle. So you can really have it any time of the year. You can let it cook as long as you want. Sometimes I find that sometimes if I'm too busy with other stuff, I'll find that the onions actually start to caramelize more. And that's also a nice tasting okra. But otherwise, it's also fine when the onions are still a little, they've just softened a little and not necessarily caramelized completely. This paratha looks like it's ready. So I'm just going to put the next one in. For us, it's nice to have these things on hand. The kids also enjoy them. We also enjoy them. But of course, we don't eat it every day. But there are some people, especially they say for kids, they're growing, they're young, they can eat this every day. Let me check. And I think the bhindi is ready. Smells so good. I hope you also found it like it was, not too complicated to make. And it really is a nice dish. So I'm going to turn off the stove. I already have a paratha here. And I'm going to put some bhindi. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed making bhindi with me today, and I hope you also get a chance to really enjoy the health benefits that bhindi and okra can give us. And it's really a really versatile dish that you can eat as just a vegetable alone, or even pair it with some meat. And and once you start making it at home, you may want to add a few more ingredients or omit some ingredients. That's the fun thing about cooking. And but I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.